Today's video is sponsored by Game Nerds, the best place to buy all your sealed Digimon product, as well as other trading card games and for all your general gaming needs. And also by Inked Gaming, the best place to get your own custom playmats printed with the highest quality around. Links are in the description.
What's going on, Tamers? It's your boy Varney, and today I'm coming at y'all with the Royal Knights deck profile. It's taken me a couple weeks to get this to y'all because I just wanted to make sure that the deck that I brought to y'all was something that I was comfortable with. I knew enough about it, I could answer any questions about it, and give y'all my insights after having played this deck for a while. So we start off with obviously our Digi-Eggs for King Drazel 7d6, the, well, king of the deck in one way, right? 3 breeding effects, well, 4 actually. First one, all your Digimon can't Digivolve. Second one, once per turn, when a Royal Knights trait Digimon card would be played, you may reduce the play cost by 4, further reduce this cost by 1 for each one of his Digi-Evolution source, and then at the start of your main phase, reveal the top card of your Digi-Egg deck, then place that card and all of your Royal Knight Digimon in play as this Digimon's bottom Digi-Evolution cards. And then the inherited effect is when an option card with the Royal Knight trait is placed in the battle area, gain 1 memory. So the significance of this is that you start the game with your Digi-Egg deck, you hatch 1 King Drazel, because remember your turns go unsuspend, draw, hatching, main phase. So you hatch King Drazel during your hatching phase, and at the start of your main phase, he absorbs another King Drazel. And that happens every turn until you run out of cards in your Digi-Egg deck. It also absorbs all Royal Knights that are on the field, not just one. So basically you want to go first with this deck because you want to get that cost reduction right off the bat. I have no problem giving my opponent 5 if it means I get to play a Dinosman and search 4. Going second isn't the worst, but you know, the faster you can get cost reduction, the faster you get these under, and it makes it harder for your opponent to deal. You know, they most times can't deal with things within your first 2 to 3 turns. So that it's such a tempo play. And for me, I always go first with this deck. Make sure I'm always stacking up sources, getting as much on field to get the maximum amount of value out of what he's doing every turn. That in mind, you also have an option card in here called Purge of the Royal Knights, or in English, it's called Royal Knights of the Purge for some reason. This is a main draw 1. You may place 1 Digimon card from your hand at the bottom Digi-Evolution card of one of your King Drazel in the breeding area, then place this card in the battle area. So that's what triggers King Drazel's inherited effect, not something like Second Mappa, which is a Royal Knight trait card, but it is not placed in the battle area. You pay the cost to play the card, but it is not explicitly placed in the battle area, so you do not trigger the memory gain for playing this card. And then the delay effect for Royal Knights of the Purge is delay, play 1 Royal Knight trait card from the Digi-Evolution cards of one of your Digimon in the breeding area without paying the cost. And then on play effects do not activate by this effect, but they do gain rush for the turn. So this is how you get some chip damage in, this is how you get board control in, because you're going to see the Knights that we run and what they are capable of doing. But before we get into the Knights, let's get some of the bulk out the way. First, we got to talk about it. The card a lot of people ask why we run in the deck. We've got 3 Marcus, 3 BT13 Marcus. The reason we run this, number 1, I mean, it's a memory setter, right? But the most important part about this is that on play, you may suspend it, and when it becomes suspended, you minus 3k on one of your opponent's Digimon. The significance of that is that this deck does falter to rookies such as Psychmon or Chikurimon, as well as Solarmon. Players can't reduce play cost. That's an all turns effect. That means that your cost reduction from the King Drazel is turned off. So you play this to get rid of those floodgates. This is a contention for many. Me personally, 3 Omnimon. I'm fine with 3. I haven't ever really had a situation where I'm like, damn, I wish I had Omnimon. This is the way that I look at it. We have Mulligan. That's super good. That's great. If you draw into this card when you're looking for a knight, it sucks. You don't want to. You're trying not to find this card. Like this card in your opening hand within your first like 2 hands is great. Anytime after that is kind of a neg. And I've had way more than enough situations where like I'm searching, I draw somehow, whether it's off Purge or Sistermon or something, and I find Omnimon and I'm like, damn, I wish that was a knight. So I only run 3. If I can open with this Magnemon and or Dinosman in my opening hand, I'm goated. If not, it's okay. You need this in the deck, in my opinion, because the on deletion is super clutch. It's also an on play a cycle. You can get in some chip damage. But I don't want this at 4. I don't ever want to see this more than once. If I see it more than once, I hate my life. So I'm content with this at 3. We've got 2 Blancs and 2 Seals, both from the starter deck. Sistermon Blanc
On play by trashing 1 card in your hand, draw 2. So really nice to get duplicate knights or Omekamons out of your hand, draw some more cards. And then while you have a Digimon in play with Huckmon in his name or Royal Knights in his trait, this Digimon gains Decoy for red and black, meaning that for your red or black Royal Knight Digimon, if they would be deleted by an effect, you can decoy them to Sister Mont Blanc. Doesn't come up for me that often just because of the type of removal that we have in the meta, but is a useful effect nonetheless. And then Sister Mont Seal, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck on play, add 1 card with Huckmon in his name or Royal Knight in his trait to your hand, trash the rest. All turns, all your Digimon with Huckmon in their names and Royal Knight in their traits gain Reboot, which is super clutch, to be honest. I really like that effect. This is the only Sister Mon I've never changed out because that Reboot effect is just super nice. Also, trashing cards, honestly, believe it or not, you do want to be trashing cards. And we'll get to why, but there's a lot of good reasons you'd want to be trashing cards. I tried running the BT6 Sister Mont Blanc, but unfortunately, it just didn't give me enough. It drew 1 card, so it replaced itself. In terms of card economy, it's basically it's a break even. This is at least a +1, and it is a blocker, but only if you have another Royal Knight trait Digimon in play. So it's actually not as useful as I originally thought it to be. So I prefer Sister Mont Blanc, but you'll also see why I prefer this when we get to some other combos later in the deck, which you should know from the second mappa. Obviously, the keystone of the deck, the new Omnimon, the arguable leader of the Royal Knights. You know, this is the guy when you talk about Royal Knights that everybody thinks about. On play when digivolving, and they all have basically the same thing. On play and when digivolving. You may delete one of your opponent's Digimon or play one of each Digimon with the Royal Knight trait and different names from the Digi-Evolution cards of your Digimon in the breeding area without paying their cost. When a Digimon is played by this effect, trash your Digimon in the breeding area, and all your Digimon gain rush for the turn. So, if that doesn't tell you that he is the win con of the deck, he's the win con of the deck. You play this, and you delete Yggdrasil, you play out all your knights that you've been accumulating throughout the match. Now, granted, I've definitely played this just to get the deletion, for sure. Sometimes you just need the deletion, so I've definitely played this to get the deletion. I've also played this 1 turn prior to having the second one in my hand, just so that I can slot this under, play this one out, and then get to play this out, because Omni does play Omni out. With that in mind, you'll see this one a little bit later on as well, but he does not play out double Gallantmon in this case, because they're the same name Digimon, unfortunately. But we'll talk about why we run those 2 in the first place. Omnimon, you need to see this as soon as possible so that you know you're not searching for it later in game. And honestly, for a kill spell that just keeps dwindling as the game goes on, you know, you can't ask for more. You run this at 4. I tried running this at 3. Don't do it. Don't do it to yourself. Don't try it. You can't run this at 3. This needs to be a 4 of. If you don't run this at 4, you're going to regret not seeing it. And it's just that good. Also, it gives Digimon rush for the turn. You'll see this with the Gankumon, but Gankumon can play out a Sistermon. Sistermon would also gain rush because it's a blanket, all your Digimon gain rush for the turn. So, super clutch, it's a 4 of. Don't even question it. The only other 4 of in this deck that I hard agree on, Dinosman, because he's your searcher, 10 cost searcher. That means turn 1, your turn 1, he costs 5. On play, when digivolving, reveal top 4 cards of your deck, add 2 cards with Lucamon in their names or Royal Knight trait to your hand, trash the rest. And then your turn, when you play another Digimon with Lucamon in its name or Royal Knight trait, delete all your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. So super nice to be like a kill spell. If like you drop this, then say you drop a Magnemon, but also just drop this, search. It never hurts. This is one of the best cards in the deck to search out the Omnimon because it's the only card that digs that deep. The only other one that digs deep is Sister Mont Seal, but she only searches 3 deep. And Sister Mont Blanc only goes for 2 cards. So if you're able to get a Dinosman and you see an Omnimon, you're winning. Not winning the match, but just you're in a good position to win. If I don't open into this card, I mulligan for this card all the time. Even if I open Magnemon, Omekamon, Sister Mont Blanc, Royal Knights of the Purge, if I don't see Dinosman, I'm mulling. Just because if I don't already have the Omni in hand, it's going to be hard for me to pull because the deck doesn't have, you know, draw power. It's not a digivolving deck. So you need to see this card, in my opinion, to be able to facilitate your game plan, which is why it's at 4. This is another point of contention for some. In my opinion, this card's good. It's a floodgate. I think if it wasn't for other things, I'd run this at 4, but in the meta, it's great. It's not the best. It's on play when digivolving by placing 1 Digimon card with X antibody or Royal Knight trait from your trash as this Digimon's bottom Digi-Evolution cards. All your opponent's play cost 10 or higher Digimon can't attack players for the turn, well, until the end of their turn, I should say. And then alterns once per turn when an effect would remove this Digimon from the battle area by returning one card X antibody or Royal Knight trait from this Digimon's Digi-Evolution cards to the bottom of the deck, prevent that removal. So what this does is it's like Congo, but for play cost 10 and higher. If you know what Congo does, it does the same thing, but for play cost 10 and higher. That being said, if you leave a suspended Digimon on the field, your opponent can declare an attack into that suspended Digimon. So you have to be wary of that when you're dropping this Alphamon. But what this prevents is, you know, burst mode for game. It prevents that, not prevents, but it stops that big burst mode turn for a lot of decks, just because they're not able to swing their burst mode at security. They'll have to suspend something. It doesn't stop Rosemon, obviously, because Rosemon suspends stuff, so it can suspend this, swing into this, blah, blah, blah. But against other burst modes, you can stop those big plays. You can stop opposing Royal Knights players because, well, your entire deck is Megas, and they're all play cost 10 or higher, except for your little guys, but they don't matter. I've had this card save my ass more than enough times. This is a 3 of. I could toy around with the idea of 2, but in my opinion, I want to see this at 3. The other reason being, why you want stuff in trash, because first of all, I don't want to pull cards from my hand, but this one only pulls from trash. So let's just say there's a Dinosman trash. I absorb this. My next turn comes around. Yggdrasil's trying to force Alphamon underneath. Alphamon's like, haha, no, I defy you. I stay on the field. And it's nice because then you can get a swing in, and then he'll get absorbed the next turn if he doesn't get deleted. It also helps recycle stuff, right? I'll never get through the deck fast enough, but let's just say, like, for the reason Omni ends up in the trash, I could also just recycle Omni back to the bottom of the deck. And if I somehow get to the point where I'm getting to the bottom of the deck, I know that there's an Omni there. The next 3 of we have is Craniumon. I love Craniumon. This was like one of my first cards when I got into the game, the original like BT2 or 3 Craniumon that I fell in love with. So getting a new Craniumon is absolutely goated. This one's great. Blocker on play when Digivolving until the end of your opponent's turn. This Digimon isn't affected by the effects of your opponent's Digimon. And end of opponent's turn, choose one of your opponent's Digimon. Your opponent attacks with the chosen Digimon. So it's super nice because it's a big 13k blocker that isn't affected by your opponent's Digimon effects, which means Shine Gray can't do anything about it except for like a final Shining Burst or something. And then you're able to force Digimon to attack. So it kind of, in a lot of ways, this ends up like stunning game out for me for a turn, and then it gets absorbed, of course. But that's why I run 3, because I just love what this is able to do. This is the big wall of the deck, in my opinion. I tried this at 2. I hated it. I just felt like I needed to see it more. Even if I had all 3 copies in my hand, sometimes it sucked, but more often than not, he'd end up saving my ass. So Craniumon deserves his spot at 3. This is also, I haven't played against Blue Flare, but this is apparently the answer, well, not answer, but this is one of the ways you deal with Blue Flare. With that in mind, we run 3 Gankumon. Gankumon is, in my opinion, an absolute 3 of. If for nothing else than the fact that he recycles things. So he's a 13k blocker as well. On play when Digivolving without paying the cost, you may play 1 Digimon card with Sistermon in its name from your trash, or 1 Digimon card with the Royal Knight trait from the Digi-Evolution cards of your Digimon in the breeding area. But he can't play himself or Omnimon. He also can't. So he can't play any Gankumons if you play any other ones, and he can't play Omnimon. But it's super nice. Either you get to recycle Sistermon, which I would never do if I'm playing this card off my cost reduction, because when I play this, it's to facilitate effects I've already used, whether it's Craniumon, Jasmine, or something else, because he activates on plays. You play him, you get Dinosmon's on play again. You play him, you get, Craniumon, you get Alphamon's effect. That's why you can't play the Omnimon, because it'd be busted otherwise. But this is super nice. It facilitates so much. Sometimes I hate seeing this. No, not sometimes. A lot of times I hate seeing this early game, which is why I tried 2, but no, 3. Because once you get into the mid game, being able to recycle things that you've already seen are just super clutch. I love Gankumon, and I would not bump him down. I did go up to 3 on my Jasmine. Y'all will see what I bumped down for him later. Jasmine is so good. Originally, I was only playing 2, and I was fine with it at 2, but the more I started playing, the more I was like, damn, I wish I had another Jasmine. On play when Digivolving, choose any number of your opponent's Digimon so that their DP total adds up to 6,000 and delete them. For each of your other Digimon, add 2,000 to the maximum DP this Digimon can delete. So playing him off of Gankumon means 8k. If you have a Sistermon on board, you play Gankumon and you play Jasmine, that's 10k. It's not, I wouldn't say it's super easy, but just being able to delete low cost bodies, and then depending on what board state looks like and how you're able to stack things up, being able to get more bodies on field to effectively get the the Omnimon effect without needing to play Omnimon, I love Jasmine. What I love even more about him is his all turns effect. For each of your other Digimon with Sistermon in its name or the Royal Knight trait, which is almost your entire deck, all of your Digimon get plus 1000 DP, which includes himself. So on an Omni turn, which is another reason I bumped this up to 3, because I love being able to get this out with Omni and have like 6 bodies on board, because that's plus 6k. So he's 17, Omni's like 20, even the Sistermons are like 9k. So for Shine, puts them out of DP deletion range. For some decks, it just means they can't get over them, and when comboed with something like Leopard Mod, means you can block them. Jasmine, a 3 of. The last 3 of in this deck, and a point of arguable contention for many, is Magneton. I don't mind having this at 4, but I'm just trying out a new combo, which y'all will see. I also don't necessarily like seeing this late game, but I do feel like I'm going to go back up to 4 on this. It's a 7 cost body, so on your turn 1, this costs 2. All turns when this Digimon would leave the battle area. Doesn't matter by what effect. Chaos Tag, DP reduction, deletion, bounce, tuck, arrest or tuck. When it would leave the battle area, you draw 1. This the second part of it doesn't come up, which is then you may play 1 Vmon from your hand or this Digimon's Digi-Evolution cards without paying the cost. But all we need is that draw 1, that cheap cost blocker body. I like this card. I really do want 4, but I need to play around with the ratios just a little bit more and see how I feel before I find out what I'm going to cut for the 4th copy of this. So now the kind of 3 of, but it's actually like a 2 of, the Gallantmon trio. If this wasn't in here, I'd definitely play 3 of this Gallantmon. This Gallantmon is so good. When you would play this card from your hand, if you have no Digimon, reduce the play cost by 2 for every 5 total cards in both players' trashes. It has Rush and has on play when Digivolving, when attacking. Delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 6000 DP or less. If no opponent's Digimon was deleted by this effect, delete one of their Digimon with 13k DP or more. This gets so good. Just being able to target small bodies, target big bodies. Shine Gray sucks because Shine Gray never gets DP boosting. It's always in that 12k range, so I can never hit it with this. But against some decks, it's just nice. Delete 6k. If nothing was deleted, delete 13k. And because you typically play this keep turn with Rush, you swing, you get that effect again because it's not once per turn. And it also procs off of, it doesn't proc off of Purge, but you do get the when attacking, which is what's super important about this card. And so the reason that we play this Gallantmon, it does kind of the same thing. When attacking, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 6000 DP or more. If no opponent's Digimon was deleted by this effect, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. So it's super nice just to get that trash in, but the raid is also nice as well. It may only be 12k, but being able to swing, whether you crash with a large body, or you're able to, get rid of your opponent's board because it effectively has like a double deletion. Same thing as this Gallantmon is why I run this split. Otherwise, yeah, I would definitely run 3 of these. Gallantmon is so good. I love this card. So now let's talk about our 2 ofs. Lord Knightmon. This, some people run at 1. I can't fathom that. It's on play. When Digivolving, you may return 1 card with Lucimon its name or Royal Knight trait from your trash to your hand. Opponent's turn. When an opponent's Digimon attacks, gain 1 memory for each of your Digimon with the Royal Knight trait, including itself, and that's once per turn. There's so much I can say about this card. I tried running this card at 1, and I hated it because I would end up with things in trash, whether it's off a Sistermon seal, or whether it comes from security, or I have to trash it off Sistermon Blanc because I have no other choice, that I'm like, damn, I wish I could get it back, and Lord Knight facilitates that. With that in mind, its second effect is also super good. If you Omni out a whole board of like 6 Royal Knights, this is a 6 memory gaining Ice Wall, I think this card needs to be at 2. I don't think it needs to be at 3. I toyed around with the idea of 3 like in the very, very, very early days. I think I'm fine with this card at 2. I would never bump it down. This is like the one card for sure I keep at this ratio. I would never change this ratio. And then we have another point of arguable contention. There's a lot of points of arguable contention. Leopard Mod. I only run this at 2. I had it at 3. I didn't mind it at 3. I had a game though. And I know, games are one-offs. I had a game where I saw this, like 2 in opening hand, I drew into another one, and I was like, damn, I literally can't do anything because he doesn't have an on play. It's not even that if you play himself, he gains blocker. If you play this off, just straight play this, if this is your play, you're screwed for that turn. At least Lord Knight has an on play. Jasmine has an on play. Magnemon is a blocker. Ganku plays something. Craniumon play, like everything facilitates something. This one doesn't. This you need to tuck with either a Mechamon or Royal Knights of the Purge. And I just felt like, damn, as great as this card is, because its main effect and when Digivolving, you may play 1 green or Royal Knight Digimon Royal Knight trait Digimon from your hand for the play cost. When something would be played by this effect, reduce play cost by 4. And then all turns when you play another Digimon, all your green and or Royal Knight trait Digimon gain blocker until the end of your opponent's turn. But this requires setup. This requires you to have it tucked and then play it out so that you play something else, give everything blocker, and also be able to get his play cost reduction. Because if you play turn and pass, you don't get to play something else. It's not like on play something else, reduce play cost. So I'm toying around with the idea of this at 2. I might hate it enough that I go back up to 3, and I know what I would cut. Actually, I don't know what I would cut. I really would like to play with this card at 3, but we're gonna see how it works out. Let's get to our one-ofs. 1 Kintaurus, 1 All-Force. I just love the idea of Royal Knights, and I couldn't run a Royal Knights deck without running at least all 13 of the Royal Knights. So one of both. All-Force is super good, but I cut the 1 All-Force to play the extra Jasmine, because All-Force is for each of your Digimon with the Royal Knight trait and each of your blue tamers, trash the top 2 Digi-Evolution cards of one of your opponent's Digimon. And then when you play a Digimon with the Royal Knight trait or a blue tamer, return one of your opponent's Digimon with no Digi-Evolution cards to their hand. That counts itself. This sees its own effect to bounce things to hand. So this used to be really nice. Sister Mont Blanc, you play this. Or actually, no, Sister Mont Blanc doesn't count. So it's just straight up other Royal Knights. You would have to play maybe, you know, Leopard Mod, then play this. Then you get the bounce because you get the trash 4, bounce like a level 6. But I went for Jasmine because I just found its all turns to be so useful and just the general deletion to be super useful. And then Kintaurus, if there are 6 or few cards in both players' security stack, gain 3 memory and reveal 1 card in your hand. If that card is yellow, place it on top of your security stack face down. If it's not, just return it to your hand. And when attacking, once per turn by trashing the top card of your security stack, unsuspend this Digimon, and one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 7,000 DP for the turn. I like this card. It's never came up. It came up maybe like once. It actually saved me from like an ice wall in security because of the gain 3 memory. But this is always my tuck target. If I open this card, I'm almost never playing this card from hand because they're not normally swinging against me early, and I'm most times never able to get enough chip damage in that I could play this card from hand. So I always tuck this with Purge or Omnimon. Same thing with All-Force, to be honest, because All-Force does, like, unless you're bouncing like a level 5, no, not even level 5, it's a level 4 with a 2 and 3 source, or a level 5 with a 3 and 4 source. I tend to prefer to have these 2 in source, which is why I run them at 1 as well. And now we get to my combo. You know, this is, I'm not going to call it spicy or anything. We saw one of the topping deck lists running this and the second Mappa. So what this card is if y'all know Jasmine, y'all know it's like Jasmine Turbo GX, right? Basically, it has no on play. You don't care about that. You're tucking this card with Purge, you're playing this card with Purge. So this card's when Digivolving is, you may place 1 card with Royal Knight in its trait and a play cost of 13 or less from your hand or trash under this Digimon as its bottom Digi-Evolution card. Activate 1 of that card's when Digivolving effects as an effect of this Digimon, then Blitz. And then all turns while a card with Royal Knight in its trait is in this Digimon's Digi-Evolution cards, this Digimon gains Piercing, Blocker, and Sec +1 for each such card. Well, Piercing and Blocker, and then Sec +1 for each such card. So the combo with second Mappa is, you know, play this out with Purge, swing. Doesn't die, which most times it shouldn't. It's 15k unless you get deleted by an option. Unsuspend one of your Digimon. If that Digimon is Jasmine GX, activate one of its when Digivolving. It's when Digivolving activates, and guess what? Your entire deck that has when Digivolvings, you get to activate all, well, 1, but essentially all of their effects. So, except Omnimon because he's play cost 14, but everything else matters. So the big combo with this is being able to go Alphamon. So, okay, you have Jasmine GX, second Mappa, you tuck Alphamon, you activate Alphamon's when Digivolving, you tuck a Lord Knight. Now you're 15k on 3 checks. So that's just super stupid. And that can just help you lock down game faster than having to do the Omnimon combo. But what I really also like for this card is being able to just generally recycle your when Digivolving effects. Because you do get Alphamons, you can't swing with play cost 10 or higher. You do get, you know, Lord Knightmon's return a Digimon. You'll get Gallantmon's deletion. You'll get the Jasmine deletion. You can tuck Gankumon, and then Gankumon activates. And then you play out something else, and then you get that on play. There's so much versatility for Jasmine GX in this deck. Craniumon unaffected by opponent's effects. Dinosman for a search, if for whatever reason you need to do that. There's so much versatility for Jasmine GX in this deck, being able to facilitate it off of Purge, that I would definitely run this card at least 2, which is what I'm trying. 2 of that and 2 second Mappa, because obviously you need to see both to kick that combo off. I see some people go 3-3. There are 3 Jasmine GX, 3 second Meppa. There's just, my problem is I've already cut things. You know, I cut Magnemon, I've cut Omecamon. I don't want to cut anything else to facilitate this card. So this is it, in my opinion, just 2 of this, 2 second Meppa. It's also why you want things off of the trash, off of Sistermon Blanc and Sistermon Seal, because for this, you know, I hate absorbing cards from my hand. I don't want to give up my hand size unless like I absolutely need to. So that's why I'm, you know, a little bit wonky ratios. I don't really know what I'd cut to improve things, because this is already like a minimal package. You know, probably I'd cut one of the one-ofs, either Kentaurus or probably not Ulforce because it's removal, but probably Kentaurus, or I'd go down on the ratio of maybe honestly, I don't even know. I'm looking at this deck right now. I can't even say what I'd go down on. Everything has been kind of like fine-tuned so much. Now, I used to run the Porcupamons. This was 2 Porcupamons, and this was the Leopard Mod and the Magnemon, and that's what I cut to facilitate this. Deck space is tight. You know, you can't fit everything you want to fit, but I like this combo enough that I want to play this. And even better is like if you Omni for turn and you pass turn, you know, next turn, you can still Digivolve into this, activate when Digivolving, Blitz, you know, just stupid stuff. And I also find that this card is just stupid as well. If you have 3 memory, you play out Oral Knight with Purge, you can just activate this, unsuspend, and swing again. Or in the case of like Kentaurusmon, I've definitely had a game where I play Kentaurus off of Purge, swing, trash security, unsuspend, swing, second Meppa, and then swing for a 3rd check. So it's just super nice. I like that utility of the deck. The deck is very utilitarian in that manner, and it's definitely something that you need to play with. Royal Knights is a very personal deck. There's no correct way to deck build. Actually, no, that's a lie. 4 Omnimon and 4 Dinosman. That's the correct way to deck build. If you're not playing 4 of those, then I don't know what to tell you. I also think you should be playing the 3 Ganku, at least the 2 Crania, at least the 2 Alpha, at least the 2 Lord Knights, at least the 2 Gallantmon, at least the 2. Just, there's so much. But again, no wrong way to build it. I just wanted to give y'all my opinion, let you know how I've been doing with the deck, what I've been seeing off of playtesting. And yeah, that's it for today's deck profile. I hope you enjoyed this. Just a reminder, if you like this video, feel free to drop a comment, drop a like. We'd really appreciate it. It helps the channel out. Also, just want to let you guys know, this week's Tamers Battle League is happening tomorrow at 7 p.m. So if you're watching this and it is August 10th, August 11th, sign up for the Tamers Battle League week 9, or is it week 10? I don't even remember at this point. Sign up for that. But yeah, all our links are in the description that you'll need, whether it's for Tamers Battle League, for anything that you'll want to find out, for the Discord, for any of our merch, for all that fun stuff. But yeah, until we talk to you guys next time, peace out.